Welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking your Tuesday night away from everything else and being in front of me. Feel very privileged for that to happen. So the unit that we're going to do tonight is CHCMHS011. Now, whenever you see MHS, you know that it's a mental health unit. There are many of them within the courses. So this one tonight, I'm going to start you with a bit of an overview about the assessment and what, I'm just going to let these two people in, and what it looks like and the best way to go about it. Thanks, Marcus. It's not Marcus. Well done. It's my IT man. I love that. So we'll be looking at the PowerPoints as well. You have these resources, you have the PowerPoints. So it's really important that you do have a look at them. There'll be lots of video recordings within them and YouTube videos that you will need to watch, but you'll have to do that in your own time. Otherwise, I would just take the whole time letting you watch videos, which is something that, oh, Barry, it's yeah, not something that I think is productive for you. So you'll be watching them in your own time, but I will speak to some of the PowerPoints that are there. We'll also go into a couple of breakout rooms. I know everybody loves a good breakout room, but what I've done for you in this is not only given you the ability to see it on the screen, what I'm going to ask you to do, but it's also a part of your questions. So I used it strategically to go, oh, well, think about this question. And it's actually something that you have to answer within your written questions. So it's a good way of being able to figure out that. And then when you come across that question, you're more likely to go, oh, that's what we discussed in the breakout room. If you don't want to say anything in the breakout room, that is absolutely fine, but I would be writing things down. And then when you come out of the breakout rooms, I'd like someone to be the spokesperson and just say what happened within that room and what you discussed. Then I'll take you into another slide to add to that. So it'll be a good brainstorming exercise for you in both those sessions tonight. We'll have a couple of breaks in between, probably only 10 minutes each break because of the amount of content that I have actually got for you. So let's move along with that. And I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to share this one. All right, so this is our PowerPoint for CHCMHS011. All right, can everybody see that? Yep, nod of heads. Thank you. Lovely. Love that body language when we're on Zoom. All right, in the spirit of reconciliation, Hadda Institute of Education acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and the first inhabitants of this nation and the traditional custodians of the land on which we work, live and study. We express our gratitude for the sharing of this land and our sorrow for the personal, spiritual and cultural costs of that sharing, and hope that we may move forward together in harmony and in the spirit of healing. We pay our respects to all First Nations people and acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. All right, from there, the housekeeping for tonight. So keep your cameras on. Most of you don't. I don't mind if you're faceless, but if you've got a question, it's nice to see you. Microphones on mute most of the time. We will have breaks round about those times for that period of time. If you'd like to say something, please do the little hand signal. Respectful to everyone, that goes without saying. And no smoking or vaping on screen because we're recording. Anything triggers you when we're doing mental health. So to me, that's a trigger in itself. So if there are any triggers, I want you to look after you. So make sure that you take the time, drink some water, maybe walk around, move away from the screen, whatever you need to do to make sure that you can regulate your emotions when you have these triggers. Be kind to yourself. Study is not easy. And then let's fit in everything else that we have to do in our days. So if we have a look, we're going to have a look at self-awareness, further therapeutic approaches, self-care, developing a plan. Everybody is different, determining the physical well-being, sex and physical mental well-being. So we're going to cover those topics tonight. Now, there's 3 different sets of PowerPoints for this particular subject, so it's pretty full on. All right, so what I'm going to do now is move away from this one. So I'm going to stop sharing this one and bring you into the next one that I've made for you. So I'm going to share this one. All right. Now, nod of heads if everybody can see that. Good. Thank you, Natalie. Love that. Okay. So it's a bit of an overview. So CHCMHS011 is about access and promoting social, emotional, and physical well-being to your clients. We've done our acknowledgement to country, so I won't have to go into that again. So what I'd like to show you, what is this unit made up of? And I go, assessment task 1 is your written questions. There's 14 of them. 3 attempts. No other RTO gives you 3 attempts. I think that is amazing. But to me, if you've failed the second one, please get in touch with us. We need to speak to you about that. So all questions must be answered correctly, and it's an open book adult learning. Use the learning materials as the references. Now, you've got the best learning guide you could possibly imagine within the unit. Use those resources. You don't have to go much further than those resources. Now, I want you to think about instructional words when you are answering questions. For example, if they ask you to identify, explain, or discuss something, a topic, we're looking for at least 1 or 2 paragraphs in length. Now, if you give us a couple of sentences, we're probably going to go, no, that doesn't show us that you understand that question. So always remember, those words mean at least 1 to 2 paragraphs in length. And if those questions then ask you, oh, please identify 4 people in the room and tell me what coloured clothing they're wearing, you've got to also then provide at least 1 or 2 paragraphs about that additional part of that question. So be very careful with your questions, because sometimes they can ask you 2 or 3 different things. All right, so make sure that you read them. The other one is describe, approximately 2 or 3 sentences in length. So if they ask you to describe something, you know you've more than 1. Everything to me is more than 1. So I hope that helps you when you're answering your questions, just into what do they want? How much information do they want? Now, with your task 2, it's a report and a journal. So the document working with a client in a collaborative manner to access, promote, and review all aspects of their well-being. That's something that you'll have to have a look at when you're in there. You've also got an observation in task 3. Observed by the assessor working with a client to access their and promote aspects of social, emotional, and physical and cultural well-being. You've also got a supervisor's report in that as well, a workplace supervisor. And I've been in discussions with the other trainers as to, if you don't work in that industry, how do you make that work? But we'll figure that out when we come to the end of it. So if any of you aren't working in the industry, you will maybe need to let me know so that we can figure out how we can do that. It may have to be done in placement, but we need to make sure that you're aware of that and all over it. All right, so you've got a student assessment booklet within the unit. It looks at the assessment plan. Read and sign this document. It's required before assessment task 1 is started. Make sure you record your due dates. It's always good to know when I need to do this. It spurs us along as it gets closer. Declare on this document if support or adjustments are needed. Let us know if you're struggling. We need to know that. Refer to section resources and equipment required for these assessments. It's up to 30 days to submit. You've got an assessment task cover sheet for each task where students must submit items for assessment. No cover sheets, obviously, on observations. And then you've got an SD client report and an SD supervisor's report. So have a look at those forms and what is needed in it. Usually they're just a tick and flick with it with a signature. So task 1. There are written questions. Remember your instructional words and understand that this is how much more information I need to give them. I can't give them a sentence with this because of these words. All right. So if we have a look at that, I might just, whoops, sorry, make that bigger and move you guys over here. There we go. All right. So I've got an example. Describe each of the following models of practice with an emphasis on how they could be used to improve a person's well-being. You can see how there's 2 bits to that question. So describe motivational interviewing, which is MI, research, and put together 3 sentences that you believe describe this model of practice. Then 2 or 3 more sentences emphasizing how MI could be used to improve a person's well-being. So you can see how that will end up as a paragraph. And you've answered both sections of the question. Very important. Very important, because usually it's where we go wrong is we forget the last half of that question. All right. Task 2, the document your work that shows you have developed working with a client in a collaborative manner, and you're able to access, promote, and review all aspects of their well-being. So there's have a look at the forms and things that are in there, but that task 2 will have to be done within a workplace. So we will cross that bridge when we come to it. In that workplace involvement, you need to consider 3 clients, and you need to work collaboratively with those clients and go through the steps and processes with them. You need to look at strategies when working with them, elements of your own professional practice. Always remember your self-care and your professional development. The specific strategies you apply within each wellbeing domain, and there's a lot of wellbeing domains. The workplace skills you use to ensure the safety and wellbeing of yourself, your client, and the environment. So you have to think of all those things when you're putting this report for these 3 clients together. When the report has been completed, you will ask your supervisor to confirm what you've written in there, and they will sign that piece of paper. So it is a bit of a process. That's why I thought I'd let you walk through it with you. So you will be observed by an assessor working with clients. That's in your workplace. And the most important thing when we work with people is to get their consent. That is one of the, it's a legal requirement. It's one of the things that you do straight up front. All right, so make sure that we have that, and that's in Appendix A. You can discuss with your supervisor within that workplace how they feel that you went, and I think there's a small area for them to put their comments in. So working with clients, we've got to identify a lot of things when we work with clients. We need to identify their triggers. We need to identify, are they out in community? We need to identify services and programs that are going to be helpful for them. We need to be positive, encouraging, and supportive of our clients and the treatment that we have suggested for them and they've agreed to take on board. Strategies to strengthen the overall well-being, to address any deficiencies in well-being is a must in the profession that you're moving into, especially when we're working with anybody, humans in general. Now, assessment task 3, follow and promote practice standards and codes of practice requirements, respecting their clients' rights of choice, respecting cultural and spiritual practices and customs, demonstrating non-discriminatory practices, informed consent is in there every time, and your boundaries are very, very important. So we need to complete the client records within this unit and maintain the privacy and confidentiality of that information. So we might get questions on that. So working safely at all times, meeting our duty of care obligations. If you're in the industry and you're working in the industry, this is like, yeah, I know that. But if you're not, you need to know these things. All right. So, and we've got the supervisor's report that is within that assessment. So you can have a look at that. It is a hard copy Appendix C. So have a look at that, and just be across, what do I need to do within this unit so that I can finish it on time, be organised with it, and not have it take away too much of my time. So being organised is good time management. Good time management. All right. Now, I want you to put in the chat if you believed that helped you in any way. So let me know what you think of that, because if it did help you, I may be able to put that into some of the other units that we do when we start them, so you've got a rough idea. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that for a moment. All right, how do we go? All right, oops, I'll let some more people in. All right, they're all joining. There we go. All right, so a show of hands or a nod of a head if you believe that was beneficial at the start of a unit. What do you think? Yeah, I've got a few nods, a few thumbs up. Good work. Excellent. To me, I need to know, well, what do I need to do in this unit? So yes, I need to find out all this information, but what do I physically need to do in it? So that gives you a rough idea of what needs to be done within that unit. There's role plays for most of the units, so be aware of those. When you come across them, we can do them with you. We can get other students to help you if we can coordinate that, but sometimes that's a little bit trickier than what you think. All right, excellent. We have 29 people here tonight. Well done. All right, usually because it is a new unit, so we like to get our teeth into what needs to be done. All right, so that was a bit of a rundown on what is required in the unit. All right, very good. Now we'll go back to the PowerPoints and we'll have a look at those. So I'm going to share again. All right, now we've seen the overview and there. All right. So we have session 1. Now, I looked at session 1 and I thought, oh, the slide, okay, we're talking about mental health and we've got a watermelon there on there. That's very appropriate, because I do believe our mental health fails us when we don't give our body nutrition. So I'm very much into, yeah, that's quite a good slide. So we have to look at mental health from a recovery orientated practice. We have to recognize people's strengths and the recovery potential, even in the context of ongoing symptoms. So that was a nice piece to put in there as well. We can't think of anyone as a failure if we don't assist them, or even if they relapse. It's something that happens to us. All right, who is brave enough to speak out and tell me how to pronounce that word? If it's ever happened to you, you'll be able to say it. 29 people. There should be one person brave enough to be able to say.
Latrogenic effects.
Well done. Now, does anybody can tell us what that means?
Illness caused by medications or
You're reading the bottom of that screen.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be right then. Well done. Yes, it is. It's something. Okay, so let's have a look at painkillers. And then all of a sudden we can't do without them. And instead of weaning us off, they've increased our dose. So you can see how that can lead to a lot of stuff. If anybody's been addicted to any pharmaceutical drugs, we're told to use them, and then unfortunately we have some awful side effects with them. Now that will be a question in your, oh, did I say that out loud? Yes, it will be a question that you need to consider. All right, let's have a look. So here's our domains. Now, I want you to be across all of the domains in this mental health. Because if we fix the cultural and spiritual, we may not have fixed anything else. Well, and fix is the wrong word. So I look at our well-being and go, okay, what can we do for this person to help their physical well-being, which will help other things. They can play sport. Oh, that's going to help the social. It's going to help the emotional. It's going to help the psychological. So you can see how the well-being domains can actually intertwine with one another and actually support each other. So when we go physical, we know it's our body. So it's the physical domains. What do our bodies need? Social well-being. What do we need socially? We are a social creature. We will line up when we don't even have to line up. We like to be in groups, some of us. So that's a big deal. And sometimes when we're isolated and we don't get that, we can get diseases that decline our memory and our focus and all that sort of thing. So it's a big deal. It is a big deal, even when you want to be a hermit. The emotional well-being. And I go, well, that's our control, but sometimes we do not have control of it. Our nervous system goes into shutdown, fight, flight, so that can be a real problem for us, our emotional well-being. And how do we improve somebody else's emotional well-being? Because when we're emotional, it's very hard for anybody to help us. So think about that one. Cultural and spiritual well-being. Being denied that is horrendous for us. So our well-being will suffer for that. And psychological well-being. How is our brain going? What do we think? How do we behave? What is happening to us? So very, very, very important. And I want you to make sure you know all those domains and you've got an idea of what fits into them. All right, so our well-being. So if we look at well-being, let's have a look at our basic needs. What are basic needs? Food, water, shelter, love. Children, who said that? No, it's our basic needs, and sometimes our basic needs have never been met. Psychological needs. What do we need to motivate us, stimulate us, make us proud of ourselves? What do we need? Self-fulfilling needs. And I go, don't think that to have self-fulfilling needs is the wrong thing to do, or you're being selfish. Self-fulfilling needs means that you will be the better person to be able to help others. So have some self-fulfilling needs that you meet in that. But also remember in that is family come into that as well. All right, so that's a little bit about well-being. Now we are going to put you into a breakout room for a moment. So I'm going to, I've got to let somebody else in, admit, right, very good. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing with got to the well-being and the brainstorming, right, very good. So I'm going to stop sharing and don't have to let anybody in. Everybody's in, very good, 29 people, brilliant. All right, we are going to share our breakout room. Everybody excited about the breakout room? No, I know. But I go. The breakout room questions are in your questions. So I go, this is a great opportunity to brainstorm some of those questions before you even get there. All right, let's have a look. Now, keep moving, you guys. All right. So we discussed last week that if I said what I wanted you to do, most of you have forgotten by the time you got into the breakout rooms. So I'm going, okay, let's put it in writing. And it is a question within your assessment. And I would like you to, in your breakout rooms, I would like you to discuss and list the impacts of a mental health diagnosis and treatment on an individual's well-being. Think of your domains. As soon as they say well-being, it's just not one thing, it's quite a few. And look at that question and go, there's an and in that question. They want me to answer 2 bits. All right, they want me to answer 2 bits. So discuss and list the impacts of mental health diagnosis. Now, I won't say anything because I talk too much. And treatment on an individual's well-being. So what are some of the things that can impact, and what are some of the things that can happen when we get treatment for mental health disorders on our well-being? All right, now, is everybody over that? So the breakout rooms will only be for about roughly 12 minutes because of the amount of content that we have to get through. So bear with me, I am going to now. Everybody happy with that? And I will stop sharing. So I've got you all up there, and we're going to have a look at. Now I'm going to stop the recording now so I get you into breakout rooms. Nobody's waiting. Very good. All right. So you will be allocated a room shortly, as soon as I can sort that out for you. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording. Just going to pause. All right. So room number 1, who is going to be the person to let us know what you discovered in your breakout room? Yes. Yes, Kirsten, where you go?
Can't remember exactly who was in the group because it was quite large, but
I know.
everyone had some really good points. So I think basically we discussed pressure on relationships, and that can go in a positive and negative way. So the group discussed that, you know, it could be a burden on a relationship, but it also can be a positive aspect where your tight circle or your family understand you better with having that outcome. Also just a sense of understanding from them, and the stigma that can be attached to the mental health diagnosis. And again, I think a lot of the discussion continued going to, it was positive and also negative. So every kind of aspect we had, both had a positive and a negative. Positive relief, a name for what they are going through. Individual experience, it's kind of an individual experience for each and every single person. So you can't really justify how one feels, because everyone will feel different, whether it's the same issue. It can have effects with your work, with peers, also the side effects from what you're going through and potentially getting put on treatment. So that can affect your work. Can have well-being increase on anxiety, again, both positive and negative, and a sense of isolation and disconnection.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Very good.
I get anything from our group. Sorry if I did.
Vicky?
Yes?
Vicky, I didn't get to join the group. It didn't load up for me.
Didn't it, Judy? Oh, I'm sorry
No.
about that. All right.
I got isolated.
Oh, that's awful. All right, I'll make sure that next time, if you keep popping up, I'll put you back in groups. Sometimes you don't have to go into the breakout room. You can say no. Shouldn't have said that, should I? Yeah, no. So sorry, Judy. That was unfortunate. All right, I'll make sure you're in the next one.
Yeah, sure enough.
Thank you for letting me know though, because you didn't come up, so I didn't know that. Well done. Thank you. Excellent. All right. So, Kristen, what group were you in? What
One.
room? One?
Yeah.
No,
Judy,
we were 3.
3. All right. Excellent. Okay. So, who was in another group would like to say what they brainstormed? Anyone? Anyone from group room 2?
It was from room 2.
Excellent. Would you like to say what you discovered in room 2?
So we discussed how like the impacts of mental health can affect our schooling and workplace, as like mental health can be for anybody.
Yep.
Again, how it can affect our social life. And again, mentioned before, the relationships with people that we have.
Yes.
It can also, an impact can also be like financial problems. It can cause us more to like cause more stress and all that on our mental health. And then treatment, on the individual wellbeing, we had a little bit of a discussion on the positive and the negatives of treatment. So we only got to these 2, but we indicated that like medication can be a good thing, but it can also lead to them becoming addicted to that medication. And another like positive treatment was counselling.
Yes, good.
So that's all we really got to discuss so far.
That's really good. That's really good. I'm going to expand on that, but I'd really like to hear from, we had 4 rooms, so can I hear from at least one more? 1 or 4?
Hello, I was from group 4.
Excellent.
I'll just say like maybe like 1 or 2 points that we have because
Absolutely.
so one of them was, well, basically the whole of it, it really depends on the person. It was quite a broad range of questions. So yeah, definitely dependent on the person. And for one we haven't done yet is the spirituality. So it's basically, it's a journey in itself, this mental health thing. And obviously dependent on the person, it can open up a spiritual journey, as well as, like can link them with cultural stuff. But unfortunately, like some mental health aren't accepted in some cultures, which can make it hard as well. So that was another point. So there's quite a few ways to go about it. And there's another one, an understanding of the diagnosis can help fuel self in challenge, because you know that it's not truly deep down you. It is like a challenge that you are facing. So it provides some understanding around that. And also, depending on the person, it can hurt self-esteem and capability of normal life tasks. But yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well done. All right. Now I'll give room 1 more chance for someone to speak up. And did everyone get my email address that I put in first up today?
No, I didn't.
Right, because I've got a few people asking for it. If you scroll through the chat, you'll find it. And I may put it in just one more time.
Yes, please put it in just one more time, just because I can only see the last 2 messages as oh, thank you.
Oh, okay. No worries at all, Crystal. I will do
Thank
that for you.
Perfect.
All right. It's in chat too. All right, let's have a look. Right, Nikki, at. Now, so that right, good. All right. So I would also like to say, if anybody would like to complete role plays or anything like that, I do work on a Tuesday, and I've taken bookings for the Tuesday. Now, Sky, Crystal, Julie, there's another Amy. I didn't know your last name, so if you could please send me an email, Natalie, that is correct. Beautiful, thank you. I will be able to send you an email, and we'll be able to, if we can, roster some role plays and that for you.
Amy?
I've
Is it
marked it.
me?
Yeah, I
Or is
marked a
it the other
couple.
Amy?
Sorry, Amy.
Which Amy? Is it me or is it the other Amy?
It's you, I think,
Oh, okay.
because
All
I
right.
haven't got your last names on there, and yeah, there was about 15 Amy's, and I'm there. No,
All
don't
right,
do
just
that.
making sure.
So if you need to do anything and you can do it on a Tuesday, happy to do it. Happy to do it.
All right. Okay.
So
I'll email you after the class then.
that'd be perfect. Thank you. And we'll
All right.
slot you in, because I've already got a few in there already, but we can do that. Right. So has anyone from room 1 decided that they're going to speak up and say something at all? That looks like it's a no. All right, well done. The groups that did, well done. Now, check this out. Where have I got it? There. All right, let's share this again. Now, so that was our question. And I want you to have a look at this. Now, impacts. Life expectancy. We can have a very short life expectancy when we have mental health issues. It is significantly shorter. I wonder why that is. Probably because we've got poor cognitive ability in our thoughts and our behaviours. We usually don't eat right. There's something sometimes that we can be addicted to. And there's some of the medications bring on things that would normally have not come on so quickly. So that life expectancy is a big part of why we need to really concentrate on our mental health. Physical health outcomes can be difficult to can be different to the general population. So sometimes when we're not happy with our lives, we do not look after ourselves, and then it gets worse and worse as we move through that regression of I'm not happy with who and what I am, and I'm having difficulty. So the higher rates of ill health come into it when we have mental health problems. The experience of poverty can sometimes, and that can be through addiction. It can be not being able to manage your money, just being flippant with your money, and not knowing how to budget. If we're not taught how to budget, we usually don't know. We're more likely to experience homelessness because we can't get the rent organised, we can't keep it clean, we can't look after it, we can't pay the rent. We can experience discrimination big time. As soon as someone says to you, oh, I've got schizophrenia, we usually sort of, take a couple of steps sideways, which is unfortunate, but we do get very frightened of it still, which is a shame. Right, I'm just going to move that out. We've got 30 people in here now, which is wonderful. All right, so the few people that have just arrived, this is one of your questions within your written questions, and we've just done a breakout room on it, and we're just discussing those things that can happen. So besides discrimination, you can become isolated. You don't want to talk to people about what's happening to you. You don't want to be in front of people because you have to justify yourself, and it's easier sometimes not to, but then we get isolated and lonely. Lonely is a big part of our mental health, becoming lonely. Impacted by drugs and alcohol addiction, drug overdoses. It's a part of that self-harm. I don't, you know, I'm not happy with where I am, and I mentally can't cope. We're more likely to have relationship breakdowns. You guys pick those up. Employment difficulties, you pick those up too. More likely to have transport issues. Either we'll crash the car, or we won't be able to get it fixed, or we can't put fuel in it, or our license gets taken away. The side effects of medication. So all of these things can be a problem when we have got a mental health diagnosis. And sometimes when we don't have a mental health diagnosis, and we deny the fact that we may have some sort of mental health diagnosis, we fall into these impacts can happen to us regardless. So if I look at solutions for that, we have to do it from a holistic approach post-diagnosis. So in other words, the whole person. Remember your domains. Focus on the social, physical, emotional well-being. We also are going to look at tonight the stages of change, another question in your written questions. There's treatment plans for mental illness. There is support for mental illness. We are more inclined to help people now with mental illness than what we ever have been, which is wonderful. But we also need to be very client focused and remember the client's goals. What do they want, and how do they want that to happen? So very, very important. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that for the moment. Come back to you. Now, we'll take a couple of questions. If anybody would like to say something before our break, we have 5 minutes. I can't believe I'm so on time. So anyone want to put it out there, discuss the domains, mental health, what they feel is maybe needed in that space, but just generally any comments that you feel you would like to discuss with the group before we go on a break.
I think now, that mental health has really changed over, especially in the last 2 years. People are starting to accept it more.
Absolutely.
Whereas before, you know, it was very much not accepted and people were very much isolated.
Absolutely, Judy, absolutely. You are so right with that. The more we learn about it, and the more we learn about the behaviours and what happens to people when they're unwell, the more we can understand it. All right. And I look at mental health and I go, I'm sorry, people may disagree with me here, but everybody's got a mental health problem. And I go, if you don't think you've got a mental health problem, the last thing that really annoyed you, how did you behave? What did you do? How did you control your nervous system? Were you able to control your nervous system? It's not easy. So I go, we all have a mental health problem at some stage in our life. And it's just how we deal with it, how we focus on it and try and solve it. And it's about looking after ourselves. So we talk about self-care within this mental health module. All right, so I'm going to let you have 13 minutes for break. How generous is she? All right, so I'm going to pause the recording. Now, I want you to move away from your computer. You've just spent all this time listening to me. You have done a little bit of talking in your breakout rooms, but I want you to move away from your computer, grab a cup of tea or coffee, whatever you drink, zero Coke. You know, we're talking about well-being here, so got to be careful with what we do in our breaks. But I will see you back at 6:10. Everybody okay with that? All right. Yep. And move away from your computers. Get up, stand up, move around, move your arms around. We don't do enough moving. We sit
Where's
for
she
too long
from?
when we study. All right, everybody good? All right, I'm going to stop the recording. Excellent. All right, so we're on the other side of our session, so that's a good thing. All right, so we're going to talk again to the PowerPoints. So I'm going to share my screen once more. And we're into, trying to do this one. All right, so we were talking before. Oh, and I must apologize for anybody that was that came a little bit later and they had trouble logging in or getting accepted in. Yes, I did get carried away there, so forgive me. I will be quicker next time. All right, so we're looking at our basic needs with our well-being, psychological needs, self-fulfilling needs, and we've done our breakout room. So now this is a YouTube video. It's on health, fitness, and well-being. In your own time, I want you to have a look at that video. And you've got these PowerPoints, you can go back in and do that. Otherwise, the whole time would be just letting you watch videos. And yeah, I think it's more productive if you watch them in your own time and take notes. So assessing well-being. Well, how do we do that? Let's assess our own well-being and have a look at what we do for ourselves, because this will be a big part of your self-care. What do you do for your well-being? So when we're assessing well-being, we need to be providing information and resources so people have options. We need to explore the health domains, and we know what they all are now. We need to holistically look at their well-being. So in other words, the whole thing, not just a section or a part of, but the whole thing. We need to respect and we need to be aware of the parameters that we have in our work. So our boundaries, what is in our scope, what is outside of our scope. So things like that we need to be aware of. The best thing about that is consent. That is one of the most important. Now you've got your have a look at this. So social and cultural impacts on physical activity. All right. So our environment cannot be conclusive for us to be able to get out and run. Oh, Jasmine. Okay. We might be isolated rurally. Now, yeah, thanks, Jasmine. And immigration and refugee backgrounds. That's simulating into an Australian culture can be extremely difficult. And if you've ever had to do it, you understand that. So mental health conditions affecting the ability to exercise. We may not be able to do that. So we've got to look at other ways that we can do it, or we may have a disability. So there are all sorts of things that you have to consider socially and culturally. They are impacts on what we do. Now, if we have a look at nutrition, mental health and well-being, we know that diet and exercise, maybe not the fads, but they do play an important role. Food and social cultural well-being. Sometimes the social is connected to the food and the culture is connected to the food. We have to think about referrals and appointments. So if someone was really lacking in their dietary requirements and didn't know what to do about it, who would you refer them to for that? Think about that. You do a lot of referrals. Nutrition and oral health. We find that when we're mentally ill and we don't look after ourselves, we can lose teeth. So our oral health is missed. We just don't look after it. So we have to be really, really aware of what is actually happening with our clients. And then I go, okay, put yourself in all of those boxes. Are you looking after yourself? Especially when you're studying, working, children, everything that's happening to you. Think about what you're doing with your nutrition, mental health, and well-being. And that's part of our self-care. Now, self-care ideas for clients. You have to take into consideration all of the things that we just discussed. If they are not wanting to do what we want them to do, they're not going to do it. I dare say anybody in this room that has said, oh, I do everything everybody else tells me to do, probably won't be true, even when it's good advice. But we're not here to give advice, we're here to give support. So we need to support ourselves to be able to support someone else. The first rules of first aid is make sure you're safe, because you can't look after anybody else unless you are. So think about yourself and what you do for self-care. Now, when we work in the industry, we work with a lot of trauma. So we need to make sure that self-care is a big part of our professional development, you could say, because when we crash and burn, our self-care goes out the window, and we can't help anybody else. And when we're totally stressed, it's very hard for us to help anybody else, because we need to spend that time on ourselves. So there's going to be obstacles of executive dysfunction. There's going to be obstacles. We all can find an obstacle if we don't want to do something. So I don't really want to go for that run. I'll find a reason why. And people that don't want to do things find those reasons really, really easily. So we need to have a look at our social emotional well-being. Now, this will be a part of the questions within this module. So we need to know that they're social, they're emotional, they're physical, they're cognitive, spiritual, and cultural. So we really need to make sure that we've covered all of those things. And that's what holistic means. It means you've covered all those areas. All right. So if we looked at them in detail, what is social well-being? As it says in the bottom of the slide, principles and practices of social emotional well-being is a feeling of being connected with society. If you play in a team sport, you connect that way. If you play some sort of group activity, whether it be cards or whatever it may be, that connects you socially with other people. And it gives us a sense of belonging. Even working in a team can give us a sense of belonging. We don't go well as humans when we don't have human contact. We really don't. So if we looked at emotional well-being, understanding that our emotions can either move us forward or take us backwards. And how we react in those emotional states can be whether our client is admitted to hospital, or we can bring them down, they can self-regulate, and we can work with them. Because when we're heightened, it's very hard to work with us, because we are heightened. And when we're heightened, we can't think logically. So we have to wait till we're calmed down before anybody can really help us. All right. And if you've ever been in a very heightened state, you know, it wouldn't matter what anybody said. It's not going to help you in that moment, because you need to calm down. You need to self-regulate, which is easier said than done. So remember, and youth have got more emotions than I think than most of us. All right. Now, physical well-being is the body systems. How do the body systems work? We've usually got something in our body that's not quite working the way that we would like it to. When we've got mental health and we don't even pick up those signs, that can get even worse. So we can become very complacent with our own health when our mental health is not well. Very much so. When we've got mental health issues, trying to organise and process information can be difficult. So when you are speaking to your clients and you start bombarding them with all these things that you'd like them to do, they can become overwhelmed and not do any of them. So you really have to look at the individual and go, what do I need to do to make sure that you are happy enough to be able to cope with what I'm giving you? And sometimes we just need to roll that back a bit and go, okay, I'm thinking of about 5 different things that we can do for you, but what do you think is the most important at this point in time? And they may pick something that you didn't pick. So always remember that your client is the best person to speak to about their goals and what they'd like to do. That self-determination is very, very important. So you've got a YouTube video here. It only goes for 3 minutes, and that talks of the importance of social connections. And if you've ever had a client that has been lonely, then that's the biggest issue is, how do I connect socially? And when we're not taught social cues or how to get to know people and how to speak to people, it's very hard for us to connect with others. So you can imagine a child that has never been given social skills and has been isolated, they would find that extremely difficult to try and connect to anyone at all. So remember, within your PowerPoints, you can do that. Your brainstorming activity we'll do a little bit later with our next breakout room. So developing self-awareness. So if we have to be aware and observe what other people are doing, we need to be self-aware about what we're doing. So how do we encourage self-awareness? Sit and analyze your body. What hurts? What doesn't hurt? What are you feeling? And where are you feeling it? How long have you been feeling that? And really be aware of what your body is trying to tell you. So that self-awareness. It could also be, I am extremely triggered when this sort of thing happens. All right. You need to be aware of what your body does when that triggering happens, and how your nervous system reacts to that. So you also have to think about a young person when they've got no self-control at all. How are they going to deal with trying to get their behavior in a reasonable state if they can't think logically? So self-awareness is an amazing thing. Most of us don't do it. We only think something's wrong when we've got pain. We don't necessarily take stress as being that important, and we miss some of the things that we need to be aware of for our self-care. Now, when you're studying and working and there's children involved, or even if there's not, your tolerance can be extremely low. And the first thing that will go is usually the study, because that's a hassle. So be very aware of what you do and how you do it, and give yourself credit for getting through little pieces of your assignments and your work. It's very important. You need to be the one that says, well done, I've done that. All right. So that self-talk is very beneficial for you to be self-aware. All right. So making sure that we are self-aware is very important. And I just want you to think about some of the things that are written on the bottom of the screen about what you can do as far as self-awareness goes. Some of us can jump into poetry when our emotions are stirred up. Some of us would like to journal, so long as nobody can see it. Self-help reading and listening, absolutely. Now, these things might be good for you, but they'll also be good for your clients. Gratitude journaling. If we find that we're starting to blame everybody else for everything that's happening to us, it's somebody else's fault, or it can't be my fault, it has to be somebody else's fault, we really have to come back to why is that? What is happening that is making me think everything is everybody else's fault? If you can stop blaming people for everything else that happens to you, you can get into a state of being grateful for what you have got. Now, a lot of our youth haven't got there. They don't know what to be grateful for, and they probably haven't got anything that they would like to be grateful for. Now, I'd like to see a show of hands of how many people colour in. And I go, the computer one, where you're just going, da, 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 da. No, it doesn't quite do it. I'm going, Judy, well done. All right. Judy colours in. Am I right, Judy? Got to take yourself off mute, doll.
Sorry, not used to computers. Yes, very much so.
Good work, good work. So how long have you been doing that, Judy?
Probably the past 10 years.
Yep. Sometimes we don't lose that ability. And have we got texters or pencils?
Both actually. And
Well
paints
done.
even.
Well done. It takes our mind off what we're doing when we can concentrate on something else. And it's like it's a mindless activity that we can lose ourselves in and just release the tension that we
Yep.
gather.
Certainly is.
Yeah, during the course of the day. Well done, Dom. And I go, look, any art therapy to me is good. The ladies quilt, they knit, the men make woodwork, you know, and there's also creative things that we can do that we don't think are creative. And it might be making dinner. To me, that's creative because I'm a lousy cook. So I'm going, making dinner, that's amazing. So don't think that is not a therapy, because it is. But when you cook like me, it's not a therapy. It becomes, you know, a real challenge. But in saying that is also something. So things that you like to do that make you happy, that is your therapy. That is the therapy. And we've got to find out what these young people like to do besides things that they get in trouble for. So we need safe things for them to do. All right. So practice gratitude. Here we go. A lot of us don't do it. A lot of us think, no, this is rubbish. But I go, there's merit to it, because when we're grateful for something, it puts our mindset into a different set of circumstances, a different level. And it makes us happy that we're grateful for whatever it is that we're grateful for. So they've got you here and they said, write down 5 things that you're grateful for today. Just today, 5 things. Could I find 5 things that I would be grateful for today? I would probably have to sit down and really think about those things, because there's 5 of them. And when you find even one, I want you to be grateful. All right. There's a lot of stuff in the learning guide, and I've pumped the learning guide every time I get online with you guys. Always have a look at that learning guide. So page 18 on the learning guide will give you that gratitude activity. But it is good for us to be grateful for even the little things, because we tend to be too busy for it, and we miss out. So we've got to really think about that. Self-care leads to self-reflection. So what are our values, beliefs, and attitudes? Because we've got them. Some of us have never thought, oh, what do I believe in? Usually when we come from a different culture, these things are quite at the forefront of our lives. But in the Australian culture, we sometimes forget what is a value to us. What do I believe? What is my attitude towards this? So we have to know that, because how can we look after somebody else without bias if we do not reflect on ourselves? So self-reflection is a big deal, and it helps us be better people. Oh, I did that this way. Oh, I think if I'd have done that this other way, I may have been able to make that work a little bit better. Or if I didn't lose my cool with this, I could have actually made that work or done it in a better way. But most of us don't self-reflect. We regret. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I regret doing that. Well, bring it back to, how can I do that a better way? And when we work with clients, we are always thinking that because they come up with challenges all the time. Stigma and discrimination is usually what we have values, beliefs, and attitudes about. Have a think about yourself. What is something that you can often discriminate against, but you don't think it's as bad as what it might be to somebody else? So that's self-reflection. Why is it important when working with clients? Because they have values, beliefs, and attitudes, and we need to make sure that we are in line with that and we're aware of it. So very, very important. All right. So activity on reflection. So I'm going to leave that here and we're going to come back to that. So I'm going to share my screen again, or stop sharing my screen again and change that. Excellent. Nobody else has come later. Very good. All right. So I'm going to share my screen again and we're going to break out in the breakout rooms. But I'm going to give you the question first. I'm going to have a look at it before we get too far. Now, that was our impacts. All right. So, okay. Now we spoke about it. I want you to think about how being diagnosed with a mental illness can impact a client's life. How can being given medication, for example, affect a client's life and their well-being? So medication is definitely one that you need to think about. But I look at that and I go, misdiagnosis can also be a problem with that. If we're told that we have a mental health problem and they give us a certain medication for that, and then they come back and they go, oh, well, no, we don't think you have now, but you've been taking that medication for months. All right, it can be quite difficult. All right, so isotonergetics, all right, you've got that down. What can happen? This is a question in your questions. Question in this unit. All right, I'm going to stop sharing that so I can then put you into rooms. All right. Now, Judy, I'm going to keep a close eye on you to make sure that you get into a room. All right. So if I do that, now I'm not sure whether I physically have to move you, but I'm going to. All right. Now, I'm going to hang around to make sure that everybody is getting into a room. So if you're still on the screen, then something has happened. Here you go, Judy. You're in room 1. Good luck.
Thank you. Good. Right, we've moved Susan. Let's move you up there. Okay. Susan not joined. Let's have a look. Let's put you into, see how that goes. Oh, okay. Susan, you are having trouble joining you, Susan. If you didn't want to be there, I'm just going to try one more time. And if you come back again, yeah, okay, you didn't want to join. That's no problem. Right. All right, so if you're in your rooms, you can join them. Judy, I'm putting you back in there. All right, that looks good. It's going to keep trying to move you through. Right. Excellent. Judy, did you get into a breakout room?
Yeah, but we had a bit of problems because people were coming in and out all the time.
Okay, so that made it difficult.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we'll be aware of that for next time. I may have to put you in smaller groups. That may help. All right, very good. All right, so we did have 4 rooms, but I won't expect 4 people to speak, but I'd like a few of you two to get us to the break. Seems like we just had a break, didn't we? All right, so who would like to be the spokesperson? Sophie? Sophia? Yep.
Hi.
All the way from the UK, excuse me, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. The time difference there is a little bit, yeah, not the same.
No, it's good though because it's the morning, so it's not too
Is that?
bad.
All right,
Yeah.
and what time in the morning is it?
It's 11:15 now.
Oh, it's 11:15. That's a reasonable hour. We're looking at
Yeah.
our clock. Oh, I should be in bed soon.
Yeah.
You're just starting the day. Okay, excellent. What did you find out in your room?
Okay, so we talked a lot about side effects. So side effects from medication and also tests. So like testing when the tests that you would potentially go under to be diagnosed with a particular mental health illness or condition. So I'll just kind of list the ones that we talked about. So headaches, loss of appetite, increase of appetite, certain medications which can cause to weight gain, stress from having the tests and sort of undergoing those kinds of bits and pieces. Yeah. Feeling crappy, not sleeping, withdrawals also from coming off of medication or changing medication, which sort of took us back to what you mentioned at the start with like misdiagnosis and being put on the wrong type, having to spend periods of time on something and waiting to see whether it's going to work and then not sort of knowing where you are with it. All of those.
How does that make you feel? Hey, how does that make you feel when that sort of stuff happens? Yeah.
Terrible, I would say. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we talked mostly about.
Well done. Well done. Yes, well, we're actually all jealous that you are on the other side of the world at the moment. Yeah, but good on you. Well done. That was excellent. So could I have at least one more person talk about what they discussed in their room, please?
Well, we discussed the body changes that how you can actually go from a certain weight to another weight. The substance abuse, because some people before they get diagnosis, they start to really experiment with medication, with drugs on the streets and that, and when they get the diagnosis they can even up that by taking on more stuff like sniffing glue, proning, all that sort of stuff. So there's a real chemical imbalance. One of the girls was saying, Amy I think it was saying that she had a really big chemical imbalance because they not muck around, they sort of change things, so your body might feel better in one way but go down in another way, and so it's shifting all the time, and how that affects your mental health.
Absolutely, it does. And I look at that and I go, we're trying to fix your mental health, but we haven't quite got it right in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good work. Good work. Would anybody else like to discuss that before I show the slide and give you a few more ideas? All right. Okay. I'm going to share. So bear with me. And we're going to probably have to get you to mute. All right, so let's have a look and see what we can see here. So now impacts. Now why I've put some of the references down the bottom is I want you to take note of that. They're really good documents, and to me,
They should be a part of your learning. All right, so what are the impacts? So we really need to understand what the adverse impacts on well-being are in all those domains. Medications, as you got it, well done, guys. Side effects, no appetite, weight gain, no energy, sleep issues, depression, refusal to use the medication. Other drugs and their interactions with medication. So remember that interaction can be deadly. Polydrug use, what Judy's group was saying, drug overdoses, absolutely. Anxiety about the treatments. How often does that happen? Incompatibility with the clinicians or their professional practice. Sometimes we just don't like that doctor anymore for whatever reason. Maybe because he's not listening to us. Physical changes in the body. Might be weight gain, weight loss, but there's also other physical changes that can happen. So we're looking at medication addiction. And I put in there the mild tranquilizers, your painkillers can be some of the biggest ones. Cultural and spiritual needs, not aligning with treatment prescribed, can also impact. So there's a lot of things that can impact us when we are given a medical diagnosis. All right, so I'll just keep that slide up for a little bit longer. But the National Framework of Recovery-Oriented Medical Health Services, 2013, is a great document, because when we talk of mental health, we're talking about recovery-orientated mental health. United Nations human rights, a lot of human rights used to be denied. Now we can actually say whether we want to have electrocution in our treatment plans, which was something that years ago was not allowed. They would just do that. This will quieten your mind. Yep, we'll fry it. All right, so those things can impact when we have that medical diagnosis. So I'm going to stop sharing that one and bring you back to, all right, any comments on that? I'm not going to get into the slides till we come back from our break. So we have a little while there. Is there anything someone would like to add to what we've been discussing so far?
Vicky, I'd like to add something.
Mm-hmm.
So also spoke about in our team around the emotional and the psychological effects that it has on our young people when they are on medication.
Brilliant.
Affecting their self-esteem dramatically, so a lot of them feel isolated, and it really has a big effect on their emotional well-being. The young people I'm working with are really struggling with that at the moment, so that seems to be a huge concern. And then also just the coping mechanisms. Also, we spoke about this in the team around how they can, how we're using the medication to cope with that mental illness, where we have so many other available options that we can use, like going for a walk, like eating well, all that self-care stuff that we spoke about earlier, to get that natural dopamine, to actually make them feel good and help them feel good. The environment that we surround them around, the social gatherings, the social, just the social groups, the peer groups that they surround themselves with. If we can surround them around really, really good, positive people, then
absolutely.
And slowly they start to think the same way. They start to pick up those same habits. But if we're not getting them out and about and doing those things for them, then it's a very lonely place for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how do you think the kids feel when they're all lined up at the office to get their medications every day, looking at each other going, oh? You're on medication. Oh, you're on medication. We're all on medication. Yeah, it can be difficult. Now, there's times when medication is needed, absolutely. But there's other times where I think we fail people a little bit with that. I'm sure there's people in this group that have their own experience with being diagnosed something, given a medication, and there's been a reaction or a side effect with it that hasn't been good. And most of us will stop it if it does happen. We won't keep taking something that makes us feel ill or changes us in some way. There's medications that can stop you from tasting and just other things. And sometimes that outweighs what the medication was for. So it can be difficult. And there's a lot of refusal around medication. I don't need it anymore. I am better. And then their body goes into a collapsed state of I'm not better because of not taking that medication. So it's very, very important that we make sure that if it is prescribed, we need to make sure that the dosages are right and that we treat that with respect, because medication should be treated with respect. Yes. All right. Very good. Now, I was going to go into the PowerPoints, but I'm going to let you have a break again. We need to get up from our computers and walk around, do something, make a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you do. No vaping or smoking. No, you do what you need to do. And we will be back. And the time is, so if we get back at, now if I say the time, everyone's different. So I'm going to go, let's give ourselves 10 minutes. So if you look at your clocks, give yourselves 10 minutes and we'll be back for the last section of our session tonight. All right, get up and move around. We've been sitting for too long. All right, I'll see you back soon. question?
So I'm meant to have a lesson with Helen, I think, and it's been difficult trying to get hold of her because
Yep.
it's now school holidays, which means I'm working like super crazy shifts. And
Okay.
my boss never gets the roster out until 9 p.m. on a Sunday. So I don't have a chance to get in contact with her. But I did email her and Vicky, and the guy rang me when I was at work. When I'm doing my readings, I'll stop a reading when I have to go to work or whatever and come back. And I have to start the whole reading again and go through and answer all the questions again to get to where I was. It took me 3 times as long to get through my last session, and I answered all the questions like 10 times. Like, you know, when you go
saving at the same time?
Pardon?
Are you saving each? Because you can save and come back.
I am, and it keeps going back. So like, and you can't go to the next section of the reading until you like answer all the questions. So I think I answered the last set like 10 times each just to get to the end, because you go away to study, like shut the browser down to go away and do the Google research or to watch one of the YouTube, and you come back and you'd have to start again.
And you've lost your work.
Yes, all of it, and you have to start.
Okay, that's stressful.
And so,
All right.
like, it took me, instead of taking me like 3 days to get a reading done, which is what they told me it should do, it took me a week and a bit to get it all done.
I bet. And that would have been so frustrating. I couldn't handle that.
All right. I sent an email, and this guy rang me and sent I'm sorry, I can't remember, and left me this long voicemail about it. And he just, because I wasn't there to be able to explain the exact issue, and because I'm working such crazy hours, I can't get back in touch with him. Like, it's, yeah.
That's a horrible thing to happen. I wouldn't be able to handle that, and I'd have to leave it and then come back to it. That would frustrate me so much. So I go, all right, what about this, Emma? Writing it, getting your work on your computer, and you go, right, this is a question. Type your answer into a Word document. And then once it's in the Word document, go off and do whatever you need to. Doesn't matter if the computer shuts down, because you haven't actually put that answer in there.
No, I get the answers correct, and I have no problem. Well, not all of them, but I get them correct. For the fact that if I leave it to go there, I can't start up where I was. I have to keep going back and doing everything again. So it's like I have a book, and I write all my answers and everything in my book. So everything's there, and I have all my notes in a book because I take my notes.
That's great.
It's more the fact that when I come back, I've got to start the whole thing again and answer all the questions.
And I really don't think that, see, that would be an IT issue, back of house. So I would hate to have to type that up several times. If I put it on a Word doc and then copied and pasted it in there when I've got them all done.
It's not the copying, it's the multiple choice ones that are the most frustrating, because you like that's the ones I'm getting frustrated with, because you can't skip them and go back.
I get you the quiz.
Yeah, and you got to, and there's quiz after every different subject.
Yep.
So like
that's
okay. Like, you know, how the sections in each one. If say there's 20 sections in a reading, which some of them, I don't know exactly, but when the section's little, there's like 5 questions. You have to scroll through all the readings, because it won't let you get to the questions unless you do, and you watch and you do all that. So by the time you scroll through the readings, you answer the questions, and then you move on and move on and move on. It's like you've been there for like ages, and you want a break time. And then you come back and you do it all over again. And you've got to scroll through everything and answer all the questions again to move on and move on. And then I think one section and I finished the entire thing, answered all the questions, did the thing, and now I go back into it and it's saying I haven't completed it.
Oh, yuck. All right. I will speak to Helen and Vicky about that, Emma, and just see what are some of the things that we can do. Has anybody got any ideas about Emma's problem at the moment that she's having? Yeah, see, I would
Yeah, I haven't
Yep.
had that problem. Like once you complete a quiz, it should save it. You shouldn't have to go in and do it again. So it sounds like an
I thought
IT
it would have
problem.
done.
Yeah, that's what
but,
I was just saying, Sophie, as well from my end. It must be something, Emma, on yours, because I'm not having that problem. Like it'll log me out and everything's saved to the exact same spot. So
Yeah,
All right.
I don't understand it, and I'm just finding it very
Oh,
frustrating.
that would be awful. Absolutely awful. Emma, what are the first two letters of your last name?
ST.
Thank you. All right. And if there's any Emma STs, I'm going to be in trouble, but I should be able to find you there. And sorry.
Yeah, and can you just like I don't know.
I will
I'm
speak
not
to them
sure.
about it
Thank you.
and get them to give you a call, but let them know that your hours are going to be crazy over the school holidays. And I'll also let them know that they should email you. So
Yes.
check your emails. That may be the best way of doing it. And then Helen can maybe give you a time and then you can tee that up. Love your dog,
Yeah.
Judy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All
Thank you.
right. That's all right. No worries. If we don't know what we don't know, so if you don't tell us, we don't know. So yeah,
Okay.
always let us know. All right.
Thank you so
So no worries. My pleasure. So we are heading at the end of the session and we'll do some more questions and answers shortly. But I just wanted to take you through the last of our PowerPoints. Now, can you see that? Is that working? All right. Let me see. We finished off with our self-reflection, values, beliefs. We've got a little exercise here that talks about providing the right advice and resources, truth and lies, misinformation online, and credible sources. So most of our credible sources are government. And some will dispute that too, but it is mainly the government. That's where we go to for credible sources of information. It could also be service providers, etc. Misinformation online. What did I hear about online? The generations that listen to online news are misinformed, apparently. So there you go. Truth and lies. How many times have we seen something on the media that is an absolute lie, but they're pushing it as the truth? So we've all come across that at some stage or other. All right. So be careful with that and be aware that some things you really need to research to find out. All right, I really don't like this picture. All right, so this is watch the stages of change. You will do that in your own time, but please watch it. Very, very important. You have questions on this. So there is a video there in your PowerPoints that you can watch. Now let's have a look at the stages of change behavior model. So we've got pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance. They are our stages of change. This is a question in your book. Make sure that you understand these stages of change. All right. When we're pre-contemplating, who would like to be daring enough to give me an explanation of pre-contemplation?
Would it be when you're sort of thinking about your behavior or what you want to change, but you're not sure how to go about it? So your mind's kind of all over the place?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're not quite ready in that pre-contemplation because you're not contemplating doing it, you're pre-contemplation. So you are maybe thinking about it, maybe weighing up the pros and cons. Can I do it? Can't I do it? Oh, I'm not sure. And you throw this around. Well done, Judy. Excellent. What about when you're in this state of contemplation? Who would like to give me a description of that?
It's like you acknowledge that you've got a problem, but you don't know. You might not be ready to change, or you don't know where to get help.
Yeah. But you're thinking about it.
Yes.
You're thinking about, I need to change this, and I look at ourselves and I go, only we can change ourselves. Somebody else can't really change us, but they can give us maybe the goals and the inspiration to help us change ourselves. So contemplation is, I think I might be ready to do that. And we come in and out of all these stages at different times, at different levels. They're not all, oh, we come to here and then we go to here and then we may fly back to pre-contemplation. What about preparation? What do you think of that in the stages of change?
That's
Thanks,
when
Amy.
you start preparing for the change, where you say to yourself, okay, I want to change now, but to do that, I need to do these certain steps.
Absolutely.
To change.
Absolutely. And if any of you have ever wanted to change something, sometimes we need something else to help us. Somebody to give us support somewhere, something needs to move before we can do it. All right. But when we're in that preparation stage, we are involved in it. We are wanting to do it. What happens in the action stages?
You're like currently taking the steps to make the change.
Excellent. Well done, Amy. Well done. Yes, you are going, okay, yep, this is what I need to do. Let's do it. We need to do it. Okay. What happens in maintenance?
That's where you maintain your behavior by looking or going over the things that you did to prepare yourself, how you went about it. And so you continually go back over when you feel like you're going backwards. So for example, if I was, if you're smoking, you might be on the nicky gum, and you stop taking that, but you go through a really stressful period, so you go back on the nicotine.
Yes.
And so you're constantly reviewing what how your behavior is at the time.
Good work. Good work. That's well done. Usually maintenance is we've had a relapse. We have to reset because something has happened to make us relapse in whatever it was that we were doing. It might be that maintenance is a relapse of violence, or it might be maintenance with drug addiction. You've gone back to drinking and smoking, like Judy said. Well done. Good work. You will have questions on stages of change. Please watch that video. It's worthwhile. So I'm really pleased that they actually make you consider some of the therapies. I think that's a great idea, but I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole with some of the therapies as well. So cognitive behavior therapy, CBT. How many people have heard of CBT? No, okay. It's reasonably common.
I have.
Good, thank you. It's reasonably common. It is something that is used for mental health, but I also use it with other clients with other traumas and behaviors. It's about looking at what do you think, what are you doing, what is actually happening to you. So we use CBT with clients a lot of the time, just to ensure that they are aware of what their behaviors are doing. What are they telling themselves? And usually it's negative. So I want you to research. Now, you don't have to go right into it, but they will probably ask you to please describe. Now, if you remember what I said about those words, how much information will you need to give me? It will be about a paragraph, I dare say. Now, acceptance and commitment therapy, that's another really good one, but you can also go down a rabbit hole with that one. We've all got acceptance and commitment issues, regardless. And a lot of our youth go through those more than they should, more than normal. But if you've ever had a dysfunctional family, divorce, things like that, we can get acceptance and commitment issues with things like that. We get clingy, and we can display other behaviors that demonstrate that we're having trouble with usually our environment, what has happened within the family. Now, I want you to have a look at this video in your own time. All right. So that's how does CBT work? Works for some, doesn't work for others. Just like if you sat down and spoke to somebody about acceptance and commitment therapy, they may not be able to fully understand what their feelings are with that. So with our next one, I want you to have a look at that too. All right. Self-care. All right. We come back to self-care because it is extremely important. I want you to look at everybody is different. I love that. And yes, we are all individuals. What suits me is not going to suit somebody else that is similar to me. So we've got to understand that what I like, not everybody else likes. So we need to work on that person-centered approach. All right, so we need to remember culturally, life experiences, needs, beliefs, attitudes, and social determinants of health all affect us differently. If everyone in this room had a look at those titles, we would all be different in some way. Now, we don't know what our life expectancy is going to be, but we've got a fair idea that if we smoke, drink, take drugs, risky behavior, we've got a pretty good chance of making it less than what it probably should be. Everybody's needs are different. Hey, they're not all the same. And if I also look at beliefs, they absolutely are different. But we may have a common cause that we believe in, but if we look at all our beliefs, there will be differences within that. Attitudes, absolutely. We've all got attitude, and we all have different attitudes, two different things. Attitude has a lot to do with behaviors, so we can sort of interrelate them. Social determinants of health, isolation and loneliness will usually kill you faster than anything else, just about. Various research has been done on single older people and people in a relationship. And there can be, oh, sorry, I just had more people admit to the room. Okay. Good, excellent. All right, sorry about those people that were waiting to come in. All right, so we're just looking at everybody being different, everybody seeing things differently through their own lenses. So we've got a bit of a class discussion on what you do for self-care. So I want you to just write down what you would do for self-care. I get rid of that. Oops. So it's very important that we look at our self-care and we do things that are good for us. All right. Sex and physical and mental well-being. All right, so what have we got there? We've got sexual identity can lead us to mental health decline. It can also inspire us. And this is what I know and what I believe. So stigma and stereotyping, discrimination and harassment can come at any stage with anybody in any situation. So sexual trauma is also one that can give us severe mental health issues, maybe not then, but maybe further down the track. So that's something that we need to be aware of. Choice, dignity of risk and harmful behaviours can also happen when we have low mental health. All right, this is a really good video that I also want you to watch. And just have a look at that and have a look at the experiences that some people have had happen to them. All right, so I don't give you homework. You've got enough homework with what you have to do. So I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, good, I put that recording back on. All right, so for the last section of this, I'm going to put it to the floor. Is there anything that I've shown you tonight that you would like to see again? Because I'm happy to do that should you need to. No. Has everything that I've explained to you tonight been of worth to you? Yep, yep. All right, okay. I've got a few nods of heads.
Yes.
And my faceless, thank you. And my faceless ones, I'm not sure what you think, but I'm hoping that it was of benefit to you. All right. Now I'm putting it to the floor. What would you like to discuss about the session tonight, the module that we're doing, or what we've discussed tonight? Would anybody like to take the floor and ask a question or say something? Gonna have a sip of tea.
I think the most challenging thing for me is going to be getting stuck because I'm not working in the industry currently. So I feel like having that put on hold will be quite difficult.
Have you thought about your placement and where you'd like to do your placement?
No, not yet.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't worry too much about
it's still
things
pretty
that
new, and I think, yeah, I think it's because I'm just still quite new into it. And also working it around my schedule with my current full-time job that's retail. So
absolutely, absolutely. You're doing a lot of even in retail, that communication with customers is a good skill to keep moving through.
Yeah, it's more people and the manager side, to be honest, for me. So that's worse than the customers sometimes, to be fair.
That's why you're changing careers.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Correct.
Sophie from the UK, what would you like to say, Dom?
Hey, I just wanted to let everyone know, because this is something I just found out about recently, and I think some people might be unaware. I think someone in the WhatsApp group let us know, and I just thought I'd share it. So with the learner guides, I thought there was just one learner guide. Like I thought it was just, when I started, it was just the one that you kind of see on the right hand side, but there's actually a learner guide for each module, and you can search for it in the top. Like when you're in the Accelerate portal, if you just type in the CHCY whatever it is, it will come up with its individual learner guide for that. Yeah, I just thought I would share that with, because I didn't know that.
Good work. And there'd be other people in the room that didn't either. Yeah, so I actually get the learner guide and print them out for, I shouldn't print, but I get them and I print them out for every module, because there's information in it that I could then turn around and make known to you. So yes, well done. So if you've
and the
letting
PowerPoints as
everybody
well.
know that.
Sorry, and the PowerPoints as well, because I didn't realize that we could access them afterwards, and you can find them there as well.
Yeah, and that's where you go to go to your YouTube videos and the other things that they've got embedded into the videos. I just think it's unfair if I showed you all the videos, which would get me out of work, but I don't think that's fair as far as these sessions go. Yeah, just watch them when you can, and they will be a benefit to you. Absolutely. To me, knowledge is power. Knowledge is good for us. Excellent. Anybody else?
I was just going to say that I have not been in the field at all. I'm retired now, so I don't work in the field. The only thing I do is story dogs with my beloved boy. So I don't have access to a lot of youth. I'm primary age children, grade 2. So yeah, I'm worried about placement and stuff like that because I'm from a small town and there's not a lot here.
Okay. All right. We can work on that. Judy, you would be surprised at what we can find for you to do later on down the track. I go, don't worry too much about placement at this point in time. It's your work that you need to do. Crystal, can I have the first 2 letters of your last name, please? Because you were looking to speak to me, weren't you?
Yes, C-O.
C-O, thank you. Now, is Sky in the room? Now, Amy, I got yours, didn't I? A-I-M-I-E, A-M-I-E, I can spell. Okay, there she is there, right, good. And I don't think Julie is in the room either. All right, okay. Do you believe having a look at the unit and dissecting it at the start was of benefit to you? It sometimes takes the fear out of what's next.
Yes.
With it. All right.
Yes.
Excellent. If anybody, has everybody got my email address? Because on the Tuesdays, if you need it, if you're happy for me to sit with you, I can sit with you with some of the things and just nut out some of the fears and worries and maybe help you with a question that you just don't quite understand.
I don't have access to your email. I've been emailing the wrong Vicky, actually.
What a tip that was. Well done, Jasmine. Okay, I'm going to put it in the group chat again. I hope she answered you.
She did. She said she was the wrong trainer and she couldn't help.
Oh, okay.
I think I was actually messaging one from my other, I'm doing an apprenticeship in baking, and I think I was messaging her and she had no idea what I was talking about.
How many Vickies are there in the world? I didn't think there was that many. Institute, right, edu.au. Okay. There it is. There it is for you, Jasmine. And look, most of the time I'm free. Mel, I nearly got to your work to market today, but I got most of Bronte's done. So, how are you?
Good, thanks. I've got a few questions about the placement.
Yeah.
And stuff. So I've gotten onto the Skylink. I'm not sure what they are. And they've said that they've got nowhere around here. But then I spoke to Berry Street and they said that I need to go through you guys.
Yes.
So you'll have to contact them. And then my backup from that would be Blackwood. And I was wondering, should I call them and find out or not?
Put the ball back in our court, Mel. When do you have to do it by?
I think December.
December? All right.
But I'm starting my other course in September.
All right. Okay. So you want it done before then?
Hopefully, yeah.
Right.
And being a single mum of 3 kids, my time's like...
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will have a chat to the powers that be and just see whereabouts are you, Alyssa?
Bruin,
Braun,
Victoria.
How do you spell it?
DROUIN.
Victoria. All right. Leave that with me because I do believe that the Institute actually look for your placement for you. But if you can go... Yeah.
Where they got me onto, because they called me and I set up a profile and everything with them. Hang on, I'll try and find who they are. I feel bad now. Oh my goodness, I can't find who they are. Skill set, skill.
Okay.
I
can't find
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'll find out
Skill
who
track.
does the field track.
Skill track. So I've set up the whole thing with them and they sent me back an email saying that they had nothing available in my area.
Okay. All right. Leave that with me and I'll have a look and see what I can find out. Your last two, the first two letters of your last name are W-E?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, Melissa. Leave that with me and we'll discuss that with the powers that be during the week and see what we can come up with. If anybody's looking for role, yeah, sorry, Mel.
The other thing I've got 3 role plays left for youth for community service, and then I've finished both courses.
Brilliant.
If
Mate,
I can
well done.
get them marked by September,
Are they in
then
there?
I can put them. All my youth work ones are in. They just need to be marked, and I'm doing the other 3 role plays hopefully tomorrow.
Oh, brilliant. Well done.
And then if I can get them, because the course that starts in September is the trainer and assessor. So if I can get them both in there,
yeah,
and then I'll be able to do that while I do the diploma.
Well done, Mel. If you've got them in there, I'm going to make a point of marking them for you. So I'm going to do that outside of the hours that they give me. So we make sure that you do them because you're on a time limit. And awesome. I do believe if our work is marked reasonably quickly, it inspires us to do more, especially when we get it right. So I'm going to be in that space fairly heavily to make sure that that we're caught up, because I think
cool.
Yeah, it does inspire us if we get back really good feedback on our work and we go, yes, this is good. I can keep going now. Whereas if it's not marked, it doesn't help our mental health, does it? No, it does not. So
it all sits there and it's like, come on. Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's waiting. I've done it. And I've seen your work, Mel, now. So, yeah, very impressive. Yeah, well done. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Now,
Vicky?
Yes, Judy,
I
think
booked
that
in,
was.
sorry. I booked in to have a one-on-one with you on the 4th of July, but I need to change that because I just realized that's the day I'm having surgery. So I don't think I'll be in the right frame of mind to talk to you.
And I would want you to. So it's like doing it on your birthday. No, I wouldn't let a student do that. All right. So when have you got?
I've booked it in for the 4th of July, but I need to change it if I could, please.
All right. Can we change it to the 9th of July?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
And what time, Judy?
About the same time, 2:30.
That's taken.
What time have you got?
9, 10, 11, 12, 1.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Right. What are the first 2 letters of your surname, Judy?
H-E.
H-E. Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much for that.
No worries. You're booked in for the 9th of the 7th at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Very good. What are we doing with you, Judy, at that time?
I'm a bit apprehensive about the course. I think I just want to talk to you about it rather than panic, which I think I'm already doing.
Yes, please do. Look, study is a highly anxious activity. It makes us grumpy, happy, sad, excited. So all our emotions are stirred up when we study. All right.
Now, how about,
But-
does that
but I'm
count
happy
for
to-
stupid?
Sorry.
Does that count for feeling stupid?
Now, negative self-talk will not get you in the best frame of mind to study. All right. So no,
Yeah.
you're absolutely not. No. And sometimes it's just talking to someone to ease that worry that
Yep.
can help you to move forward. Absolutely. One step at a time.
Thank you.
No worries, Judy. All right. Anyone else there? And as some of you have left already, and you're more than welcome to do that. I still have 23 people on board. So are there any other questions that I can't see any hands up that you would like to discuss tonight?
Sorry, Vicky, can I just have you for a minute? Is there any way that I can book a one-on-one session with you as well?
Absolutely. Tuesdays are better.
Tuesdays, yep.
Yeah. So I've got time on the 2nd, time on the 9th, and time on the 16th of July.
The 2nd, if possible.
The 2nd, yep. I've got 9, 11, 12, 1, 2.
1 o'clock, would that be okay?
9 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And we're just having a discussion?
Yeah, just about the assessments and the role
Beautiful.
plays. Thank
Yep.
you.
No worries at all. My pleasure. You're booked in for 1 o'clock on the 2nd of the 7th.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Ellen? Perfect. All right.
Oh, hi Vicky. May I please also book in same kind of meeting, I suppose, just to talk about like the course and just
absolutely
as I'm fairly new. You said next Tuesday on the 2nd.
Yep.
What times were you saying that you have available?
9, 11, or 12, or 2.
9, 11.
9 o'clock in the morning?
9 or 11, you said?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and do 9. No, 11. 11, sorry.
11?
Yes.
I
No
put a
worries.
book in for 9 or 12.
Mel?
Yeah.
Right, Mel. 9 o'clock, Mel?
Or 12, doesn't matter.
Oh, which would you prefer? I'm happy to do 12.
Well, didn't you just give me 9 o'clock?
Crystal, I just gave you 11.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Sorry. There I did it again. My bad.
I'll write it down.
Okay.
All right. So, Mel, what do you reckon? 12?
Yeah, I can do 9. My son's kinder door doesn't open until 9. So I'd
You
like
okay with-
start off in the car. But I'll be home in like a couple of seconds. So
All right.
yeah.
Shall I put you in at 9?
Yeah, cool.
All right. And WE. And you may be a little bit late.
Yeah,
I'll wait
like
for you.
5
I'm not
minutes.
going anywhere. I'm not going
Sweet,
anywhere. I'll
thank
wait
you.
for you. All right. Excellent. So I've got that day filled up. Good work. Anybody else like to book that in while you've got me?
Hello, Vicky. This is Rose.
Yes, Rose.
Can I only book? Can I book any other? Is it only what you have done with us, or any other?
I'm happy to talk to you about anything to get you studying and to get you moving forward. So you bring it up, I'll look it up.
Yeah,
we'll
I
do
have a role play which I haven't done, and this is on.
How many people do you need for that role play, Rose?
Oh, I think many, and this is on. This is on what that communication.
Communication.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
one I did with Vicky.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it first and figure out how you're going to do it and what we need, or do you want to do it?
I wanted to try and do it, but
Okay.
I could actually talk with you first, and then you show me
Yeah,
how I should do it.
absolutely. Yeah. We can have a chat about it and then we can do it.
Yeah.
Yep. No worries at all. Now, when would you like to do that, Rose?
What did you say? 2nd of July?
The 2nd of July, I've only got 2 o'clock left.
That is a Tuesday. Yeah, that's fine.
That will be all right.
Yeah.
Okay, well done.
And Vicky, those are Zoom meetings, correct? Will that be a Zoom meeting for Crystal?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Crystal. Yep. So what I'll basically do is send you a Zoom link in your emails.
Okay.
And then you just click in there and come in.
Perfect.
Yep. Yep. Excellent. Now the Zoom will only give us 40 minutes. They only allow us 30, but sometimes we need that little bit longer. So I'm going to allow about 40 minutes roughly. And in that time, there's lots that we can discuss. We probably won't even use all that time. But if you're doing a role play, we will have plenty of time to do that. Right, Natalie, Mel, your hand's gone down. Natalie?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to know, is it only on Tuesdays that you're available to have a bit of discussion? Tonight's my first night to start everything. Hi. And I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not in an industry that I can step out. I'm in dental and I have little kids, so I can't just stop to do a Zoom meeting because things will go awry.
No, absolutely, you cannot. Your work does not allow that.
Yeah,
and
no, I'm
neither
in
usually
Mouse.
does our kids. So we could do something on another night if you wanted to. What night suits you best?
As long as it's after 5 o'clock, I can make it work. My husband's going to take care of the kids.
Yep. We could probably even make it 6.
Yep, that'll be great because then I
better.
can eat and I can make dinner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Get indigestion before you speak to me.
I'll be
All
fine.
right.
I'll do worse.
And right, Natalie, what are the last 2 letters of your name?
ST.
Oh, sorry, first 2 letters.
S for Sam, T for Tom.
Thank you. All right. Now, if there's more Natalie STs, I'm in trouble, but I'm hoping that there won't be.
Well, it's
Actually,
Strobel.
give me the, what is that? Sorry?
Strobel, STR for Robert, O for Ostrich, B for Bob, E for Easter, L for Lemon.
Beautiful. We won't have too many of them in there, I'm sure.
Unless
All
there's
right,
a lot
now,
of Germans around, no.
What night of the week would you like that?
As soon as possible, just so that I can ask a couple of questions, because obviously you've got some assessments where you need to get supervised to sign off. I'm not in this industry at all. And because I'm at the beginning, I'm nowhere near getting placements or anything like that.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
And some of those things we can put to one side, but we've got to know that in that mental health module, I need to do that at some stage.
Of course. It's just, I want to be aware that, you know, that's going to be considered of the fact that I'm not going to be able to get that, obviously, until I do placement, and placement won't be for quite some times.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. So what night is the best night for you? Wednesdays are usually out for me and Tuesdays are out.
Okay, let's do a Thursday.
Okay. What date would you like to do that?
Can we do it this week if possible?
Yep. So Thursday at that's the 27th of the 6th to 4, and that will be at 6 o'clock.
Please.
All right, so that's Thursday. I don't think I've got anything else on. If anything changes, guys, that you have booked in and something happens, which it can, just email me and say, sorry, have to cancel. Do it. I'll contact you and we'll do it again some other time.
Amazing.
All right, very
much,
good.
Vicky.
Excellent, no worries. Sometimes just talking to a trainer to get your head around something that is online can be very beneficial. It can ease your worries about what needs to be done. I like, if I was doing this course, I would have a folder for each module, and in that folder everything would be in there that I would need. So I know for the mental health, I've got to get this and this signed. I've got to see 3 clients, and then I put that aside because I'm on to my next module. The one after this, we've got 2 more weeks of this one. And then the one after that is WHS, which I go, it's a lot of common sense. So we only get 2 weeks with that. But I'd really like you to now have a look at some of the questions and maybe start putting some of those answers together, because it's not easy answering these questions. Yeah.
Weird.
And see how you go with your.
But
Yes,
what
Crystal.
questions are you referring to? Or what, I feel like there's some that everyone's referring to, whether they're either in the assessment or in the learning. So I feel, which ones is everyone?
Yep. The ones that I talk about are in the assessment. The ones that are in the learning book are like a bit of a guide. They can get you thinking about stuff. Good to do, but sometimes we don't have time to do that. So then we can move that into, okay, what are the answers that I need to know to put into my questions? And that's why I always like to type them up on a Word document. So I've always got them. So if they came back that they were wrong, I didn't need to change everything or type everything again. I could just add to that, which you probably can, I dare say, with your second attempt. But if you've got something wrong twice, get in touch with us. Don't leave that. Don't leave that at all. Yeah, good. And as I said, I'll be trying to get onto some of the markings. Some of you haven't put anything in yet, but I will try and do that. I'm just going to stop the recording now. Thank you very much. And I'm